Today, I'm going to share 4 suggestions for you about how to play octave passages with speed and stamina. Now, I'm going to start off by paraphrasing a famous quote that's attributed to the violinist Jascha Heifetz. And it goes like this: skip 1 day of practice and you will notice. Skip 2 days of practice and your teacher will notice. And skip 3 days of practice and the audience will notice. I bring this up because there's definitely something athletic about playing the piano at a virtuoso level. And with that athleticism comes the very real feeling of being in shape or feeling out of shape if you can't practice. Some of that is psychological for sure, but some of it is also physical because we use quick twitch muscle fibers when we play virtuoso passage work at the piano. And so it's worth mentioning that you will build stamina with practice. Just like you can't sprint 100 yards and expect to achieve your personal best without training, you also cannot reasonably expect to sit down and start practicing the Liszt 6th Hungarian Rhapsody and play all those octave passages without really practicing it for a long time and getting to the point where you feel in shape. In my initial video about octaves, I showed you how to play octaves loud from the arm and quietly from the wrist. When we're talking about stamina while playing octave passages, it's worth taking a moment to ask what exactly causes you to feel fatigue in the first place. The top 3 reasons that I came up with are that you tighten up, there's no time to relax, and there's accumulated tension. So first of all, let's all just agree that long octave passages are simply hard. They're designed to be a display of virtuosity, and it's like any athletic feat. When you successfully play a virtuoso octave passage, it can look effortless, but there will still very likely be an element of it where it feels somewhat tiring. With regard to your hand position, there are basically 2 things that you want to avoid when you play octaves. The first thing you want to avoid is playing with tense, extended fingers for an extended period of time, because this hand position causes fatigue and it contributes to that burning sensation that you feel creeping up your arm as you play. The other thing you want to avoid is playing out of alignment. I've talked about that in my alignment video, and I've referred back to it in several of my other technique videos. In a nutshell, you want to try to align your arm behind your fingers in order to give the most support possible to your hand while it's in this extended position. If you twist and you play out of alignment, it's much more likely to cause fatigue and issues of stamina. All right, now that we've gotten that out of the way, I'm going to share with you the other 4 suggestions I have for you to address fatigue in playing octave passages. This is actually part 2 because I'm talking about 8 suggestions. In my previous video, I shared the first 4 suggestions, and today I'm going to share the other 4. It's totally fine if you watch these videos out of order though. They are not chronological. You can go back later and catch that other video after you finish this one. So my 5th suggestion is to group notes. In order to play a challenging octave or a fast chordal passage, it's essential to group notes and teach yourself to play multiple notes in a single physical gesture. The principle here is what I talked about in my Foundations of Technique videos on dropping and releasing weight into the bottom of the keys. The way you group notes really depends on the context and the particular passage you're working on. But generally what you want to do is play one physical gesture that then carries you through multiple notes. This helps you avoid the process of stabbing each note and repeating a vertical up-down motion, which will slow you down and cause fatigue. There are typically 2 ways to group octaves. You can group by meter and you can group by contour, which means the shape of the phrase going up and down, like literally rising in register or falling in register. A lot of the composers who write best for the piano knew that you would be playing these difficult passages by grouping notes, so the groupings they write correspond with the meter or with the contour, and they allow you to make one physical gesture for each group of notes. So, for example, to group by meter, you think of dropping into the bottom of the key on the downbeat, and then the next 3 notes are going to be on the way to the next strong beat, for example, beat 3. So here's how to group notes in this example. This example is that famous octave passage from Chopin's A-flat major Polonaise, opus 53. You can see that this is grouped by both contour and meter. Each group begins on a different beat, and each group is a descending group of 4 notes. In this example, I'm going to drop my full weight into the first note of each group and then play the rest of the group on the surface of the keys. So I'm going to drop on the first note, And then these notes are on the surface of the keys. It's much more tiring to drop into the bottom of the keys on each note. This is what that looks like. You can see I'm going down, 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 down. First of all, it's very hard to play pianissimo, but second of all, it is also extremely tiring for my arm to go down, 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 down. So I'm doing one, 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 in groups. To group by contour, you're going to play all the notes going in a particular direction in one arm motion, and then you're going to make a new arm motion for the next group of notes going in the other direction. Again, composers who write well for the piano will often have the music organized so that you can group effectively and in such a way as to support the musical phrase rather than working against it. This example is from Schumann's piece Papillons. Like the other example, it is also grouped by contour and meter. Each group begins on the downbeat and it continues all the way through the measure until the next downbeat. Here it is slowly. I'm going to start by dropping into the downbeat, and then the other notes, this is dropping, and then these are on the surface. And then drop, drop. So here's what it looks like if I drop to the bottom of the note on every single note. So you can see I was going down, 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 instead of down, 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 down. My sixth suggestion is to ricochet. As a corollary to my point about grouping notes, you will find that it's necessary and helpful to ricochet between notes. Think of the way a rock can skim the surface of the water when you skip stones. The motion of the rock is horizontal and it just skitters across the surface tension of the water. That's actually part of the skill of skipping rocks. If you don't throw it with enough momentum, it'll just plunk into the water. I'm going to show you how it feels to ricochet from the arm. Let's do this together. First of all, relax your jaw, make sure that's loose. Relax your shoulders, make sure they're down. And I'm making one motion, and the vigorousness of that motion is what allows my arm to ricochet a couple of times. Notice that I'm not lifting my arm for each time I'm tapping. I'm not going, try it in both hands, and then you'll get the feel for what it feels like to come in to play an octave and then have the follow through of several notes at once. You can apply this to your octave playing and then come in with an arm motion and ricochet with your wrist. Like this. I'm coming in exactly the same way, and I'm ricocheting all the way through all three notes. I was using the ricochet effect in the Schumann that I just demonstrated. The first note I play vigorously, and then that carries me through several notes. My seventh suggestion for you is to add micropauses. Another strategy to combat fatigue in longer passage work is to look ahead and plan ahead of time your places of rest. We talked about resetting between different figures, and we talked about grouping based on the strong beats or the contour of the phrase. But for most people, there will be a certain amount of accumulated tension if the passage is really long and loud. So you can look at your music and plan places to consciously release and reset. This may require finishing a beat a tiny bit early and then adding a little tiny itty bitty breath between phrases. Often, the smallest, almost unnoticeable breath is enough. Think of an oboe player. If they are playing a really, really, really long, beautiful singing line, if they just get a sip of breath, that's enough to finish a long phrase. So here's an example of where I would put micro pauses into the music in this very long phrase. Here's an example from a piece I'm playing right now. This is Beethoven's Sonata, Opus 7. And this is a trio section that is quite fatiguing to play. It goes... tiring, right? It's continuous and it's tiring. And so I put in these little micro pauses here, every 4 bars, right there. And again here. And then this one goes all the way through because you can relax on these chords. So just to show you how that looks, listen for a tiny micro pause. So it goes like this. And here. And I do it throughout. And again here. And here. Right, so I'm finishing a tiny little bit early, but it's really not audible because it sounds like phrasing. My 8th suggestion for you is to focus on the bigger phrase. This is my most important piece of advice to you regarding stamina, and it has to do with keeping your eye on the big picture. Don't lose sight of the forest for the trees. So often when we work on a difficult passage at the piano, we break it down into individual notes, and then the battle is already lost because there's no feeling of context for each note. Depending on where it is in the measure, where it is in the group, where it is in the phrase, and where you've come from and where you're going to, you will not play the same note the same way. And so having a sense for the larger phrase is crucial. To do this, I recommend practicing a lot of individual voices, playing the melodic line alone as if that's the only thing the composer wrote, and then figure out your phrasing. Where are the cadences? Where's the high point of the phrase? And where's the lowest point? Where are all those hard octaves leading to? You really need to understand the musical phrase you're building in order to understand how you will play it. After you understand how the phrase works, then you can take the time to choreograph the arm motions that you will use to execute and effectively play the notes in the phrase. This example is from Mussorgsky's Pictures at an Exhibition. This is the Baba Yaga movement that has a lot of octaves in it. And I'm just going to show you what I mean about focusing on the larger phrase. Okay, so I'm in measure 65, and the phrase goes, the melody goes, always, right? And so I would not be served to play all of these notes equally, like to dutifully practice, right, everyone, right? That's not helpful. It's helpful to notice that the first 2 notes go to the E flat, but that E flat is on the way to the sforzando do, right? And so what I'm doing is I'm actually using the sforzando note to recover from those octaves and not playing so deep in the keys in all the rest of them. I don't play this piece, but I will demonstrate this little segment to show you what I mean, okay? So right? So I really didn't feel as much effort on every note because I was really only dropping in on the sforzandi and I was really feeling direction to them. And so if I focus on the phrase first, then that will illuminate how I'm supposed to move between the octaves in order to make it easier. If you liked this video, please share it with someone else because I really want to help as many people improve their piano playing as I can. You can also go back and watch the first video about stamina in playing octaves right here. Good luck with your octave passage work. You can rest assured that I will also be practicing my own octave passage work. We're all in this together. I'll see you in my next video, and happy practicing.